So you're out on the road RVing and you've been invited to some friend or family's place for some good old-fashioned mooch docking, but there's no RV sewer lines? Let me give you some down and dirty tips on how to make it happen. Welcome back to NOP, everybody. This video is being specifically brought to you on the LG V60 today because the big camera's battery's all totally dead. Thanks for being here. If this is your first time tuning in, I am an RV travel nurse. Travel around the country with my entire family. Consists of my wife, 3 kids and a dog, and a 37-foot travel trailer that we call Windy. We take contracts all over the United States. Thank you for being back with us. We took a nice little break off for the 4th of July. We hope you guys all had a great time.
A-R-O-A.
We are talking today about a subject that is important, to say the least. Mooch docking, meaning you're staying on some friend or family's land, or maybe you've just got a place that does not have a good sewer line for your RV set up and ready. Now you can tie into some septic tanks. There's all sorts of things you can do with a Schwagen. We're going to talk about all those today and just break it down for you quick and dirty.
I don't know if this is ever going to make it into a video, but my house smells worse than it has ever smelled, ever. I mean, you guys, seriously, I'd be so thankful that this is not smell-o-vision. My eyes are watering. Both tanks are full to the point of burping. And the house smells, I kid you not, like a latrine. The entire house, I can taste it when I walk in there. It's disgusting. I tried to fix it by Lysoling the place and now it just smells like Lysol poo. How we have things set up right now, we have to use the macerator pump. And I don't know how to use that, but I'm gonna figure it out because I can't even walk into my own house. You guys, my eyes are watering.
One of the easiest things that I recommend is just to get some garden hoses. Now, it's going to get a little complicated here, but for gray water systems, that's the easy part. You can get some water hoses with some adapters. Let me show you what I got here. Wendy's a little more complicated because she has she has 4 tanks, really, because she's got 2 blacks and 2 grays. And she, of course, has the fresh water, too, so really 5 tanks. But you can get these little adapters. This one happens to be a clear one. It's just a standard sewer cap that goes on the end, but what makes it special is it's got a little garden hose adapter. This one I'm using because it has broken a little thing on the end here, so it doesn't really seal well, so don't use a broken one. But you can just hook a little garden hose right onto the end of these, and then the trick is that to make that work with gravity is that your tanks have to be higher than wherever the inlet to the septic is. So if you're just running it down a hose line like I'll show you that we have here, you just have to be higher up than where the hose is draining to. There will be water kind of standing in the system the entire time too, so keep that in mind as far as just emptying or moving it around or anything like that. But as you use your grays, they will empty out into the sewer system. One other option that you can think about too is if you're in an area like on large land and stuff, you can sometimes just dump your gray water out. And we actually made a video about that. You can check that out up here, or you can check that out up here, depending on whichever way. I always point to the wrong direction. One thing you may need to do if you have multiple tanks like we do and you just want to be able to empty everything is get an adapter to hook onto the end of this. So here's your cap again. And then I just went to the common hardware store and you buy just a little garden hose adapter. white powder that you see is diatomaceous earth. It's helping us with the bug issues that we've had. If you haven't seen that video, check the link out for it too. But here you can see, and I know this is a white drinking hose. Some people are probably going to point that out. Clearly, we know we're never going to be using that for anything else again. But there's the cap hooked right onto it, and it is just draining right into that hose. There's a little bit of water in there. That's the gray from our shower and stuff like that. So it is a little bit full, and it just drains out into the system. But let me show you the back tank so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, I'm not going to hook this up right now because to do it, it would break the system. And we have not replaced the back cap yet with a new one since this one broke, but you guys will get the idea. So here's the end of that white hose, and I normally have that hooked right into here. Now, since these are both male ends, just go to a local hardware store and buy a little adapter. Make sure it is garden hose thread to garden hose thread. You don't want pipe thread, that will interfere with it. And I just run that into there, and then generally this is the black hose that goes out to the sewer system. And that one is hooked in right here, and you can open both of these valves, and it will flow into here and down and out. Again, don't have to worry about it too much flowing in and filling up the other tank, as long as you can use gravity to flow it out down further into where the septic is, or the inlet that you're going to use to hook this hose into. One other thing while I think about it here is, if you don't want to hook that directly into your black tank to try to give yourself some more room, you can run your sewer lines out farther and then hook that in, and then the garden hose to try to give it some extra room. Initially, before I had the different hoses and the adapters with the two tanks, I had two of my sewer lines wired together with this adapter hooked onto the end of here. So still one adapter, and I could do that again, but I've just waited for another one to be bought. But anyway, that works too. So this Y adapter, if you have multiple dump tanks like we do, is also very handy to have. All right, I hear you. You're like, gravity, yay. What about my black tanks? Yeah, that does require a little bit more power, and enter the macerator pump. This is the FlowJet macerator pump. It is amazing. I highly recommend this thing. It is an expensive purchase, but it is worth everything that we have paid for it. Basically, if you have the same sort of system set up like I do, you can hook a hose right into this, plug that right into your main tank, and pump all that stuff into the septic system. It just shoots out the hose, and yes, it will pump it uphill without much of an issue. Now, I don't know how far I would go with it, but let me show you how far it's going here. Here's Wendy. There's the black hose down there, and this is where it's going, is down into this septic system. Let me get closer. If we were dumping today, what I would be doing is hooking right into there and hooking the black hose right onto that FlowJet. So here's the hose. Let me show you where it goes. All right. This is our inlet that we're using, and you can literally see it's just a clean out, and that black hose goes right into there. And that's it. When I'm dumping, I try to get some stuff, wasp. I try to get some stuff to secure it really well to make sure that that stays wedged in there, because you don't want a pooped hose spraying all over the place. That's how we're doing it here right now. I have the two hoses hooked in line together, just gravity, draining into that septic tank. And I hook up individually the two tanks with the macerator pump to drain the blacks into the septic tank whenever they get kind of full here. Okay, if you've been with us for a while, you should know what this is. This is the Schwagen. Pay no mind to the dirty bed of the truck. And it has, again, that powder on there. That's just diatomaceous earth that, as we kind of tossed it underneath the trailer to kind of help prevent pest issues. There's the hose and empty system. So you can just hook a sewer hose, standard sewer hose, right into this and fill up this as an external. Now, these things are called all sorts of different things. If you're new to this, some people call them Blue Boys. There's a brand that has a blue tank. Schwagen is what we call it for obvious reasons. You can use this for gray, you can use it for black, you can use it as an additional tank. When your other two get full, you can start filling this one up if you need to underneath. Very versatile. If you guys haven't seen this before, this is this is our water bladder that we're using currently. It's a 60-gallon. This is a food grade item. I only use it for potable water that's drinkable. I put into this, so it is clean. However, I have seen people dump grays into these kind of things to take it instead of using something like this. I have heard of black being done that way. I will say this, if you flip ours over, you'll see some nice Flexi-Seal tape on there, because I had this in the back of the truck one day full of water and kind of forgot about it. Had to hit the brakes hard, slammed into the back, and it burst open, and 60 roughly gallons of fresh water leaked all over the place. Only imagine how awful that would be with black water, or even gray water, you guys. If it's kitchen water, you know it doesn't smell that great. Our wastewater is, if I'm going anywhere with it, it's going to be in the Schwaggen in a hard case, not in a water bladder. One other ways I have seen people cheat with this too, because it's just, gray water usually, is I have actually seen people put it into a air mattress, like a large air mattress in the back of their truck, because it folds down and you don't necessarily need a food grade item. So there's one little cheap way for you to do it. That thing's kind of heavy, so you'll need a pump for it too. You could use a macerator pump, but you really don't need to for gray. So one other item is something like this guy. This is a Harbor Freight Drummond pump. Now, what I use this for is in conjunction for the fresh water to pump into Wendy's fill tanks. But if you're not needing that, you could use it to pump out gray water so that you have this up in the back of your truck. Because let me tell you guys, water is heavy, and when that thing fills full of water, it gets very heavy. There's no way you're going to be able to lift it up into a truck bed. Now, all those things also still, require you to take that somewhere and dump it. So the nice thing about the Schwaggen is that it does have a handle if you're at a place where you can hook it onto your hitch. Most of them are built that way, so you can hook it onto a ball hitch or just kind of rig it up somehow so that you could tow it to an area where you could dump. I have also used it when we were boondocking. I used the macerator pump to pump it up into the truck. Earlier, Kristen and I have had to lift it up there. That is terrifying. So that's why initially we bought the macerator pump, just to be able to pump it up into the truck bed, so I didn't have to, mess with that. All right, just wrapping up here. A couple of other really interesting things that I have seen and heard of are other options for waste, and that is a composting toilet. These are varied in how they work, but for the most part, solid waste goes into one area and liquid waste goes into another area. The solid waste is usually mixed with some sort of sawdust or something of that nature to kind of help biodegrade it so that it can be dumped somewhere else later. And waste liquid has to be carted out and dumped somewhere on the ground, kind of. There's some different things that people have done with that, but that is an option for you. I've heard about those for a while, but let me tell you this. I have never heard of a incinerator toilet. I have yet to really look this up. I know Kristen has before, but it's kind of interesting. Basically what it does is it uses propane and it sort of nukes your poo without getting any more complicated. Yeah, basically incinerates any solid waste, and it just basically turns it to an ash, a very fine ash. Obviously, you're going to use propane for that, but if you have no options in terms of wasting your blacks, that's definitely a viable option for somebody. All right, as we are approaching the golden hour here, I'm going to say goodbye. I hope you found this video informative. I'm sure that there's other ways. Human ingenuity is alive and well when it comes to stuff like this. So if you do have some other ways or creativity of how you manage it, let us know in the comments below. We'd be really interested in seeing how that works. Also, if you're new here, as always, please let us know. We love meeting new people and welcoming them to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up, guys. That helps it a lot. If you haven't checked out the NOP Coffee Club or don't know anything about becoming an NOP, check out this video up here, wherever. I'm so bad at that. Anyway, guys, thank you very much, and we will see you out there.